first?
Hip fire blade, hip fire mouse.
Oh my god.
I tether, not
Nothing.
fly.
Nah, but
My weekend. Okay,
What is up, guys? It's your boy Rick Kakis, and today we are going to be putting the brand new Choir of One exotic special ammo auto rifle to the test. This was just added to Destiny 2 within a new exotic mission for Episode Echoes Act 3. But how good is it really? Well, to find out, we're putting it through the entirety of the largest raid in Destiny 2 history, The Last Wish, to see how it really performs in endgame content. How good is this thing? Well, let's find out. So, first of all, let's take a look at what the Choir of One actually does. The intrinsic trait is Command Frame. So this says, fires extended range heavy caliber projectiles at a reduced rate of fire, deals increased precision damage when aiming down sights. Now, it's combined with another unique trait here called Fanatical Lance. Rapid final blows cause targets to explode into a pool of radiolarian fluid, and importantly, hip firing launches multiple projectiles at once in a slower moving spread pattern. Projectiles detonate on impact. So, let's see how it performs in the first raid encounter against Kali. So, the Choir of One is a really interesting weapon in that it really has two different modes of damage. Aiming down sights will fire that one singular projectile. It will do a good degree of damage, but then hip firing will fire 5 projectiles at once. And importantly, it will actually use up 5 ammo. Like if you shoot one shot while hip fire, your magazine will go down from 25 to 20. So that's super important. In terms of ammo efficiency, you want to be aiming down sights, but which one actually does more damage? Well, we decided to test both, and this is a really interesting test. You may be saying, well, obviously the hipfire is going to do more damage, but Kali has a higher than normal precision multiplier, so shooting Kali in the head is super beneficial. So, as you can see right here, that's what we started with. Shooting Kali in the cranium. Unfortunately, in this first part, like, she's turned around and it was like impossible to hit her head. But once we started to get things going, we realized, yeah, we could totally kill her just with aiming down sights. So we had to stop the damage phase early, do another test, because now we wanted to see how hip firing compares. Well, hip firing, turns out you don't actually get crits while hip firing, even if you hit Kali in the face. The precision numbers you see are from weaken effects we're applying to the boss. But overall, hip firing did a great degree of damage as well, and this shows just how effective hip firing actually is. Again, we're not getting crits on the boss that rewards you massively for getting crits by having a huge multiplier. So that shows just how much damage you're actually capable of doing with hipfire, and so we actually committed to the hipfire and absolutely cranked Kali. Now, as for the beginning section when you're holding out against ads, it's actually not bad there too, because you can just aim down sights, one-shot pretty much everything, and essentially one-shot hipfire the knight as well, which is pretty crazy, and then still have more than enough ammo to take on the boss. So overall, fantastic performance here. I'm going to rate it an 8 out of 10. Just because when you are hip-firing Kali, you gotta get really close and she pushes you away, it can be a bit of a conundrum. Now, moving on from there, guys, let's take a look at how it performs in the second encounter of Last Wish against Shirochi. Now, this is an interesting one because the Shirochi encounter has way more ads than the first encounter. In fact, people literally go to the Shirochi encounter to farm the crap out of ads. So we are ranking its performance somewhat on how it can deal with those ads, and it turns out it cranks them. Like, it just bowls through ads. One hip fire into a group of enemies will cause those like multi-kill explosions, those detonation explosions. It's just like a nuclear bomb going off. The radiolarian fluid is a nice addition as well. Like, it just cranks ads. So that's one big benefit of it. But then we also are testing it against Shirochi, and you have to do 1/6 of Shirochi's health or your entire team wipes. And it turns out, yeah, this thing cranks Shirochi as well. We're just going for that hip fire, and you can see like pretty much one magazine from everyone, and Shirochi reaches that health threshold and she's gone. Now, keep in mind, we are using this thing to shoot and kill adds and also to DPS the boss, so ammo efficiency is a factor here as well. And the Choir of One performs great there too. Like, it's a very ammo efficient weapon. You pick up one brick of special and you're good to go for quite a while. So honestly, overall, you really can't ask for much better. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10 in the Shuro Chi encounter. This thing rips. But moving on from there, guys, in the third encounter of Last Wish, we are going against Morgoth. And of course, we're going for the one phase, baby. So, first of all, again, you do have some adds at the beginning portion. The fact that, again, you can switch to that aim down sights hyper efficient ammo mode is very nice because you can just still conserve more than enough ammo for the boss fight. So against adds, it was great. You know, against the multitude of adds, it kind of does feel a bit more like a scout rifle. So if you are using the aim down sights mode, right, like it's not the best at dealing with a bunch of enemies that are kind of swarming you, but still it's overall pretty good. But against Morgoth going for the one phase, how did it do? Well, it absolutely deleted him. We killed Morgoth when he was at 40% strength, right? When it gets to 100, it wipes your team. I've had heavy weapons not get a 40% kill. This is absurd how fast we are melting these bosses. Like, Morgoth just got evaporated. 10 out of 10. You literally cannot ask for better in this encounter. Let's move on from there, guys, and see how it performs in the Vault encounter. Now, I always think this is an interesting test because it simulates a lot of what you're doing in the game. You're not fighting raid bosses, you're just fighting a bunch of adds and those mini boss knights, and that's very similar to a lot of content within the game. So, it performed, again, very well against those low-level adds. You know, it's not quite as good as something like the Trinity Ghoul or certain SMGs that just shred through low-level adds. You do have a high zoom factor when you're aiming down sights and you're kind of picking off one enemy. It really does feel like a scout rifle when you're aiming down sights, but it's still very, very good. And when you do get those multi-kills, you cause those explosions and stuff like that. It's still definitely one of the better weapons for ad clear. But then against those mini boss knights, how fast does it kill? Well, as you can see right here, pretty darn fast. You need like just over one magazine of hip firing, but still that is going to shred those knights. And keep in mind, it's just a special weapon. So one magazine plus a little bit of damage, or if you throw a grenade plus one magazine, you've more than destroyed them. So it's pretty good at nuking those knights. However, there is kind of one downside that I did notice in this encounter of this weapon that you really didn't notice before, and that is when hip firing, the projectiles have a pretty slow travel speed. Like, they're going to go through the air. You can see them go through the air before they hit the target. So, whereas a raid boss is just gonna stand still and this doesn't really matter too much, the knights, when they're sprinting over to the platforms to try to wipe your team, sometimes if you're hip firing and you're a little bit far away, they can outrun your projectiles. And you're like, oh wait, I gotta reload and try to hit them again. So that is definitely a downside of this weapon that you just are kind of gonna notice in this encounter, especially when compared to the previous encounters. So overall, still a very good weapon, but I think these downsides do keep it from a perfect score. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. But moving on from there, we have the big bad boss fight against Big Daddy Riven. And you know we are going for the cheese. How much damage can this weapon do in a limited period of time? Can it kill Riven with the cheese? Well, let's see. First of all, when it comes to killing all the adds in the Riven encounter, it's the same as it was before. Like, it is actually pretty great to just one-shot ADS those stupid snipers, this Hobgoblin taken snipers on either side of this arena. But when it came to Riven, we set up our well and we did the hip fire mode. And as you guys can see, we got the cheese kill. We actually killed Riven just hip firing with the Choir of One. This is a special weapon and it deleted Riven. Now, very importantly, I want to go back and analyze what happened here for this damage, guys. We did not have a weaken effect for the first part of this damage phase. Like, whoever was doing the tether missed, or Riven like smacked the tether with her arm or whatever, and it went away. So that is super, super important. We are not being that optimal. We completely screwed up the first half of the phase by having no weaken effect. And once we get the weaken effect, you can see our damage just absolutely rockets, but we were still able to get the one phase, right? So imagine if you don't screw it up. Imagine if you have that weaken effect right off the rip, you are going to delete Riven. This thing is crazy. You literally cannot ask for more. It achieved the one phase cheese, 10 out of 10 against Riven. Crazy. Now, at this point, I want to say this thing is so crazy that Bungie has already acknowledged that it's doing more damage than it should in the hipfire mode, and they are planning on nerfing it, I think all the way in episode 2, however. So you've got multiple weeks to get your Riven clears, baby, because this thing is just shredding right now. But moving on from there, we have one final encounter when you are transporting Riven's heart. So for this, you have a bunch of ads you're facing off at, and against these ads, it's pretty darn good. And here in this encounter, you really do realize the benefit of the two modes. Like when you're first jumping out of Riven's mouth, you're hip firing and just like putting it all over the massive group of enemies, and when you have those yellow bars, you easily hip fire them down. But then when you move a bit further and you have those long range engagements, you aim down sights. So it really is nice that you basically have like a shotgun in one mode, plus again that scout rifle in another mode. It is very, very beneficial. Now, I didn't get teleported inside, I was outside the entire time, but word from the boys inside, it was shredding the knights as you would expect, and everyone was absolutely loving it. So in this encounter, again though, you do have the slow projectile speed and stuff like that. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. Like, it's still an incredibly good weapon, but its benefits are kind of more relevant when you're fighting a big boss. So overall, guys, what an incredible performance. It's kind of sad we know this thing is gonna get nerfed, but it is just absurd right now. But again, the absurdity is gonna last for an entire month or more. So guys, overall, within the entirety of the Last Wish raid, I mean, technically, I want to say like 9.5 out of 10 if you incorporate the couple of 9 scores, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to give it a 10 out of 10. This thing, for a special weapon, is absurd. Like, the amount of damage it does, the versatility of it, it is so, so good. Even after the nerf, I think it's probably going to be one of the best specials in the game. So definitely, guys, if you haven't got this thing, 100% go get it. It is arguably the best exotic weapon in the game right now, especially with the glitch damage. Guys, that is it for the video. Hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.